Tough Tiger Talk.
Shout out to the Tough Tiger Talk Nation. We in this thing. Time for another episode of Tough Tiger Talk. Getting ready, man. The season camp is kicking in for the Tigers. We just heard not too long ago, we heard Coach Kelly's camp opening presser. And it's a lot of other stuff shaking with the team, commitments and all that we will be covering as we go forward in the future. So please feel free, family, our Tough Tiger Talk family, to please feel free to go to whothatdaily.com and check out the Tigers section. A lot of great articles that are there that are sharing about our LSU Tigers and about all the fantastic things they would be doing, and we'll be reporting on those things coming up in the coming days. But in this episode of Tough Tiger Talk, I'm Big Q. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the share button to the rest of the Tiger Nation as we're going to cover this one. And, you know, we always love hear from Greg McElroy in this episode of the Tigers, and he always is saying some great stuff about LSU, but it's just he keeps it real. He don't let the Alabama LSU rivalry get at him. He is really giving some good game and telling the truth about the LSU Tigers. I want to kind of play his interview, or pretty much what he said about LSU's expectations outside of that, but what he perceives is going to happen. Does a really good recap of the first year, and then talks about possible things that could happen going into year number 2. Here's McElroy.
Start with Brian Kelly. Already talked a little bit about Notre Dame switching down to LSU. Remember, this was a situation at LSU that was brutal. I remember when he got on campus, we're talking about a team that the last time they were out on the field competing with Ed Ogeron's players, 37 scholarship players on what was a depleted roster, and they had a bad loss to Kansas State in the bowl game, which led to their first losing season since 1999. That was the 2021 LSU Tigers. They go and throw $100 million at Brian Kelly. Everyone made fun of the accent. Everyone made fun of the fit. We didn't, because I've been around Brian Kelly long enough to know that that dude's going to get it done. And I'm not sure you can point to a team in the entire college football landscape that improved more from week to week than Brian Kelly's LSU Tigers. Now, I know they came up short against A&M. I know they came up short against Georgia in the SEC championship game, but just the fact that they were there in the SEC championship game, let alone winning the SEC West title, tells you all you need to know. This was one of the programs that improved so much, both offensively and defensively, that it really feels like they're coiled even more this year to take another significant step forward. Let's think about some of the year one accomplishments. You hold Mike Leach and that vaunted air raid offense to just 16 points. You get down to Auburn 17-0. They're on the road in Jordan-Hare, and they find a way to rally to get the job done. They beat Florida for the 10th time in 13 years. They destroyed Ole Miss's regular season. That at that point, they were undefeated. And then they, of course, beat Nick Saban in Death Valley for the first time since 2010. So check. A lot of great accomplishments for Brian Kelly in year number 1. But this year, you could actually make a strong argument that they have improved or maintained almost every position. I'm cautiously optimistic that Jayden Daniels is going to be better this year. I'm really optimistic about the depth that they have at running back. They can go 5 deep at that position and probably not miss a beat. I think that might be, even though Kayshon Boutte was a great talent, I think his presence last year was difficult for the coaching staff to get him to buy in and do what he needed to do. So his departure might be addition by subtraction. Now in comes Malik Neighbors. In comes Kyron Lacey. Mason Taylor at tight end is going to continue to get better. And they have other weapons waiting in the wings to take the next step at wide receiver. Offensive line, you had 2 bookend true freshmen. Now they're going into year number 2. They bring in a ton of talented players, not just in the recruiting portal, in the recruiting process, but in the transfer portal as well. This team feels ready to roll. Now, will they ultimately be as good as they were last year? I think they will. Will their win-loss record reflect it? That's what we need to figure out. Last year, 10-4, great breakthrough season. I think they have every bit of a chance to get to 10 wins yet again. But getting to the SEC championship game might be very difficult for Brian Kelly and co. Can't wait to see what he does in year number 2. If we're grading year 1 performance, though, A++ for the head coach of the LSU Tigers. Let's go out.
All right, that's Greg McElroy's call on LSU. And like I said, that was pretty good, to be honest with you. And it was very fair. And going into it, you know, we look at everything that the Tigers have added around, you know, outside of what they've done from a recruiting standpoint, and they've been absolutely phenomenal. 2023 transfers to build the team. And he talked about, made a great point about the Orgeron team. It was a big task building up the team after Orgeron losing a lot of commitments, but Coach Brian Kelly and his staff got the work done. And they had a fantastic year last year, and they looking to build upon that year. And they impressed a lot of people. Now, this is the 2023. Some of the guys like that that are added to this upcoming squad. We're talking about guys like Denver Harris, who the cornerback that'll come over. And there's other guys as well. Wide receiver Aaron Anderson. You had Walker Howard coming aboard, and a lot of other people. Jordan Tolles. Omar Spates is another good one that we looking at. Derek Davis Jr., Philip Webb, and there are so many others that we added. Marcus Dumerville, Xavier Carter. So, I mean, they did a really good job of adding good talent. Then, of course, you take a look at the unofficial depth chart as provided by our lads, which, you know, kind of shows you an unofficial depth chart of LSU coming into the season. So, a lot of great things. He mentioned the running back room. There's a lot of good depth there, and they are very talented in the running back room. The wide receiver position is looking pretty strong. Like we talked about, he mentioned Kyron Lacy. He mentioned, Kyron Lacy. He mentioned Thomas. He mentioned a few other guys that should step up and play. There's a lot of young talent there. Malik Neighbors is going to be fantastic. You mentioned the offensive line. That's going to be much improved under the second year with the coach. And a lot of great things are happening for LSU coming into the season. They've been a great recruiting model. They're in the top 10, according to On3, with their recruiting class of 2024. There are several guys that were added recently, and they just keep pouring it on. And then, of course, a lot of the really great parts of the LSU side of the defense, like the maturation of guys like Harold Perkins, who was fantastic last year. He will continue to improve. We get Mason Smith healthy, which will be a big plus. Mekhi Wingo is there, and they got so many other fantastic players that should help LSU move forward and do some terrific things coming up. So Major Burns, Greg Brooks, guys like that. So it's going to be interesting and intriguing to see exactly what happens with LSU moving forward in this season. But best believe that everybody, eyes in the Tiger Nation, are firmly affixed on what's happening with this team going into it. So absolutely, man, a second year leap for LSU. Why not? They're showing everything that they got. They've made some serious moves, and they've made some improvements all over the place, the coaching staff. And one thing we know about Brian Kelly, he's a guy that has a reputation of building upon winning and winning. And when he won everywhere he went, he will continue to do that. So please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button as we keep going. And listen, it's going to be a fantastic season. We're into the train. We're getting right into Tiger camp right now. We're looking forward to some great things heading into the new year. So we'll be rocking all the way with you. So with that being said, I'm going to get out on that. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, and make Tough Tiger Talk one of your favorite LSU podcasts. I'm out of here, and I'm going to holler at you.
Subscribe to the Tough Tiger Talk channel and stay up to date for all things LSU.